This is the MagicWordPodcast.com.
Good morning. I'm Scott Wells for the MagicWordPodcast.com, and we are beginning the fourth and final day of the Magic Live event of the year. And I say of the year because really this is the biggest convention. This is the granddaddy. And although the Magi Fest has over 1,000, this has 1,600 consecutive every year, and does very well, and had some tremendous events as well as people who are here learning some of the some new things to take back to their shows and everything. And I ran into Tim Hannick, perhaps one of the best children's show entertainers I have ever known. And I'm here with me right now. Hey, Tim, how you?
I'm doing great. Good morning. And yes, a little tired, but also feel like I should be driving, because usually when I hear your voice, I'm driving.
Well, I appreciate you being a listener. And you're in Chicago area, and so you flew down from here then on the first day. Did you come early or plan on leaving late or seeing the shows around?
Yeah, we flew in on Sunday, or I flew in on Sunday, got in about 12:30. A lot of times I come in a day early, but had some family things I wanted to not miss. But did duck away last night just for a little bit to see the Mike Hammer show. He's an old friend from
Chi-Town, sure.
Yeah, we were in the SAM 148 together in the 90s, so it's fun to come out and see his show here. He just killed last night, so
he always does.
Yeah. So we've had a great time and seen some great things, hanging out with my buddies Scott Humston and Isaiah Foster here, and Frank Bright, and yeah, we just have a great time.
Is that one of your reasons for coming, is just for the camaraderie, and not just to learn things and see some new tricks, but also to see friends?
It's the number one reason, absolutely. Yeah, my wife's like, you're going to see your friends. I'm like, absolutely, that's what it's about. And, being around friends who speak my language, plumbers probably speak their own language at a plumbing convention, and we have our own, people who get us. We get each other, even all the different areas of magic. Like Eugene said, there's many rooms in the House of Magic, but, you can learn from anyone. You can learn from a great show or a bad show. So I love these things.
There are so many of us who know each other so very well, and I have to tell you, yesterday evening I was getting on the elevator, someone was getting off, and he is not a name necessarily who's known in the magic fraternity, but I see him with the 4F, Bruce Trigg. He's out of Canada.
Okay.
And I started thinking about all the people I know, and it just hit me. I must have died and I'm in heaven, because I feel like you're going to know everybody in heaven. They're going to know you. And I feel like as I walk around, these are my friends. And these are people, whether I have tangential relationships or they're my best friend that it's just, it's wonderful here.
Yeah, and every year you meet new people, but then I'm also seeing people that I saw, at the Desert Magic.
Exactly. Well, there was a gentleman who just introduced himself. So you don't remember me, but we met, several conventions ago.
Exactly. Yeah, well, Gary Plants was just sitting here, and I'm like, hey, I remember you from Magi Fest 6 years ago. Your booth was 2 down from, Blake Voigt's. He's like, wow. I'm like, I don't know why I remember these things, but I like your magnetized cards. So.
Little details. Yep, I have made some custom cards for me in the past. I've used,
he's
the
fantastic.
Magic Castle. Yeah, he's fantastic. So on the Magic, as for the events they've been having, though, what have you gotten? I mean, you're wearing a white badge. I've got the red one.
Yeah, opposite for me this year.
But we've seen the sessions over there. Was there something that has been outstanding yesterday? As I recall, wasn't that the one that had, I believe, John Armstrong was talking? And,
I already have John's book, but I was really excited to hear him talk about going from close-up, one of the world's greatest close-up magicians to, now he's doing Disney Cruise Lines with a family show. I never would have guessed that. Yeah. But just to hear his thoughts on that, he has some great insight and wisdom. So that was really great. I also loved hearing about the any card, any number, what they did to fool. They fooled Penn and Teller?
They did fool Penn and Teller.
Yeah, and would have fooled me too. So I didn't know what happened. So
they explained it.
Yeah, they explained it. So that was really cool. So those were a couple of my big takeaways from that session, session. And
what about the afternoons? I mean, the Javi Benitez was a great section.
Javi was my highlight yesterday, and I saw him. I saw his. I kind of probably saw him all in the wrong order, because first I saw him at his dealer's table, and I'm like, wow, I had never seen him before. So I'm like, this guy is amazing. And so then I made sure to go to his, lecture or focus session. and just was dying laughing. He does this thing with teeth, and that's one of the funniest things I've seen here. I don't know if you saw him do that.
I did, multiplying teeth.
Multiplying
balls,
teeth.
Not balls and mouth.
Multiplying Billy Bob teeth. Yeah, so
it.
use your imagination. And then, then I didn't get to see the close-up show until last night, but he was the highlight for me. Yeah, his energy, and of course Danny Garcia. I mean, they were all,
Yeah, the close-up was amazing as always. That seems to be the highlight that everybody always talks about every year. The four or five guys they put together are great.
Yeah, and they do a really nice job with the seating and just so organized, getting people in and out of there. And
every seat in the house is looking down, and you're not looking behind someone. You're looking through a couple of people, and you've got great sight lines.
Yeah, and you're seeing, world-class magic, and they really, give them some credit because these guys brought the energy last night. I saw the 11 p.m. show, which was the very last. I don't know how many close-up shows they did. Do you know, Scott? Or
I think they did 4 a day.
Okay, so yeah, they were on their 8th runs in 2 days, plus all the convention stuff they're probably doing. So
they got to get some sleep sometime, but they're young guys, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What about the Big Little Show? Did you see that?
That was probably my favorite show of the convention. So. Christopher Hart,
Rachel Wax, and there were 2 other guys that I can't pronounce their names from Italy.
Well, we had Morton. Is it Christensen, right?
Christensen, that's right.
Yeah,
he was a FISM winner.
I mean, one of my favorite acts I've ever seen. I could watch that over and over, and I'm never looking at the right. I'm always looking at the right place from his point of view because he is. It amazes me when someone like that can misdirect you. This is not a close-up cocktail party situation where you can look right and left and, everything is in my field of vision. Everything is in that little window, and I'm still constantly missing what he wants me to miss.
Well, I've always compared him to, or said that he's the Danish Rick Merrill.
Yeah, someone else said that, Rick Merrill, with his Sharpies and his understated demeanor and his homeschool jokes and... Yeah, Rick and his wicked sense of humor. So I don't know Morton personally, but man,
I've chatted with him several times, and he is just what he seems like on stage. Just a nice, humble guy, very fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine someone not loving him when you're watching him because he just is the opposite of what none of us want to be, the cocky magician that comes out, look what I can do that you can't. None of us want to be that really, but that's like the stereotype.
But then the guy who did the needles. Remember from Italy, and he was using the needles and the thread from the sewing machine. Then you swallow the cork, and you swallow the...
Talk about an act, beginning, middle, end. That was beautiful. Yeah, I forget his name, but it was wonderful.
And then the guy that closed they all got standing ovations.
Okay, the guy that closed, I felt like I was watching CGI. I don't know what I was seeing. There were cards... I don't even want to say hanging in the air because they were there so solidly. There was no
black art. I don't understand.
There was no. I don't even know what I was seeing, and things were vanishing in midair. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't black art. You're saying?
I don't think so.
I
mean, it was dark enough
and there was
that
just
it could
smoke,
have been.
and so
You say it was hanging in midair, and you can see behind it. So I don't quite know.
He turned me into 100% layperson. There was nothing watching that made me feel like I was a magician in the same league with him.
That is a great quote right there.
Yeah, it was amazing. What a great closing act. I literally gasped multiple times. Couldn't stand up fast enough at the end of that one.
Well, some of the other sessions we were talking about, I know that Steve Valentine, Chris Philpott had a great one talking about acting.
Yeah, I missed that one, but I have been a part of Steve's online course and stuff, and who better to learn acting from than Steve
On
Valentine?
the Run, isn't that right? His
On the Go, I think. Maybe Magic on the Go, yeah.
That was one of the things, too, that was pointed out by David Williamson about the various kinds of communities that are available. I mean, like his Sleight School, and, of course, the original Conjurers Club, I believe, that Aaron Fisher had.
Community, Sleight School, yeah. There's a lot of them. Alakazam has stuff. Yeah, there's a lot going on out there.
And overall, it was just really, really great. I thought also Master Payne. I'm glad to see that he came back here this year. And it was interesting that they had a different host for the last 2 days.
Yeah,
I wonder they're probably going to have a different host
Young and
today.
Strange.
Yeah.
I thought their how they
their interaction.
Yeah, their interaction. But they did the was it a sword box or what would you call that?
Yeah.
It was with dowel rods.
Right, and
a cardboard box.
Yeah. I always call it the Hans Moretti box.
Hans Moretti box. But the way they then showed how they did it with an overhead camera, that was more amazing than the first time. It was so good.
It reminded me a little bit. You remember, probably not, I don't, when in the old Carney days, they would have a blade box, and a guy would put the blade, the woman, and then they would pull this dress off, out of the box, making you think that now she was naked. And they'd leave the box up, the blade's in there, and they say, okay, for a quarter a piece, that you can come through and line up, and you can look inside the box. And so you can see how she's kind of angled, and you're thinking you're looking at a naked woman, and obviously you're not,
right.
But they get a quarter, for every time. It was kind of like that. Did you get to see how he's contorted in there?
And moving
amazing.
Around,
yes.
And I was still gasping, like...
Yeah. So
they're really shoving those dowel rods in fast. They really have to know what each other's thinking.
Well, I did post a picture on yesterday's report, so if they go to the magicwordpodcast.com, you can see that where it's a great angle picture where you're looking straight at it, but then also overhead the projector is right on top above them, so you can kind of see looking down. It's a great picture.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
What's been your favorite thing in the dealer's room?
People.
I haven't had time.
Yep. Let me say, first of all, on Sunday night when we had the opening party, I did not go in because it was like 6 deep. I couldn't even get in there.
Yeah.
And I knew not to get in there, so I stayed in the liquor room where they were serving liquor and floats, ice cream floats.
Yeah.
And so I got like a lot of content, a lot of people that I got to see because people were kind of coming out of the dealer room, kind of like, wow. I could tell they were breathing hard. It's like, I'm going back in for a second time or something.
Yeah.
but no, I didn't. And then yesterday, I did take a walkthrough for my Magic Whisper. I've got another thing, a video blog that I now do that I put on YouTube. And if you want to see a video of what the dealer's room looked like, I have like a 10-minute walkthrough and that was just basically it, and then saying hi to people as you're kind of going through.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't had a chance to stop at a booth yet or see anything yet.
Wow. I had one of my friends say they thought it was the best dealer's room.
What did you see? What did they say? What did they like?
Oh, goodness. You mean what, specific booths or tricks?
Yeah, booths or tricks or something they saw. What's the trick of the convention?
Kaylin Morelli's got a couple of things out, some card illusions that look like special effects. He's selling that on his own and through Tannen, so he was at the Tannen's booth. My buddy Isaiah Foster dragged me to Hansen Chen's booth to see this dollar bill thing restoration. It's like a pin through dollar bill, but you see the hole in that dollar and then it seals up. It is absolutely incredible. So make sure to stop by there.
Which booth is that?
Hansen Chen. Okay. Yeah, he's over across from the big bicycle booth.
Those darn Chinese guys, they got some great ideas.
Well, he's right across from Henry Harris.
There you go, my point exactly.
Unbelievable, those guys. They're kind of they have some products at each other's booths too, I think, but yeah, when I was at Hansen Chen's yesterday, for the second time, David Blaine was standing there, and he was watching Crazy Sam do some of his effects. Have you seen the potato chip thing?
No.
I guess they debuted that at Blackpool. Yeah, he puts a Pringles chip in your hand,
right,
and you're holding it,
right,
and then he
Oh, and it breaks.
It breaks.
I do remember seeing it at Blackpool, yeah.
So he's got that and some other things, but trying to think what else, just all through, Brett Berry's got a new book test, and, the Trick Drop's been out for quite a while, but I forgot his name, but that was fantastic. So, yeah, a lot of great magic.
I know that Joshua Jay's book sold out.
I forgot about Vanishing Ink. Yeah, I spent some money there. New book there. I stopped by the Solo booth. I'm using their Solo music cues.
I haven't. Tell me what that's about.
Yeah, Sam Fitton, he debuted that. Well, I don't know if he debuted it, but I saw it for the first time at Magic Live in last year. And I've been using it to run, I use dozens of music cues in my shows, and I've switched to that system, and it's been great.
And I saw you talking with the Solo guys over there. Is there something new that they're doing that you're thinking
Well,
about?
He's constantly doing updates. And so, we make, there's a Facebook group, and I'll make a feature request, or somebody else will, and they're constantly updating. So, so now it's, it incorporates with video and slides. And so if I'm somewhere that has big screens, can easily do some close-up at a table or, run it like a keynote almost. But, it's all done through kind of like RFID tags, I guess. Mm-hmm. So you can put those tags on your props or on your wrists. It can be, you can run it in a sequential order, or if you're out of order, whatever tag you grab on a prop, it will start that music. So, it's pretty amazing.
Because the tag actually is motion activated. So it will
and you're wearing a little receiver. So, or your receiver can be in a table or whatever. I wear one, under my shirt. But
right.
It's it's smaller than a playing card box. It weighs nothing. So
Wow. A lot of great, that's one of the things, too, as technology is advancing. It seems like magicians have always been on the cutting edge of that. Of course, Pro Mystic I saw over there has always had a bunch of people, like 3 or 4 deep at their booth.
I was thinking about that yesterday because I was talking I think it was with my buddy Isaiah sitting here about, paper money, because, someone from the UK is like, oh, well, our money's plastic. We can't do some of that stuff.
That's right.
Then I'm like, well, who knows how much long our paper money's going to be around? And I was like, darn, there's so many great things. But, there's always new magic coming out.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, and people are inventing stuff with whatever we're using. And that's what makes, we all love the organic magic that...
Speaking of money, I always thought that was unusual about why that our money is the same, whereas other countries are all different. Sizes,
colors.
I think for blind people, for an example, or people with low vision, they can tell what kind of a bill you have just by the size. But ours, $100 bill is the same as $1 bill. I'm often curious about how a blind person can tell.
Yeah. Can you hand me one of your hundreds so I can check it out? I can turn it into a 1. I'm the opposite of any good magician.
Being a good magician, that's right. Well, they're going to be signing up again for next year, and I guess you're going to be here again, too.
I came for the first time in 2011, and I haven't missed one since. So, Lord willing, I'll be here every year if I can. So,
yeah, looking forward to tonight's show. I don't know who's going to be on the show, but it's
hey, and I'm also excited because today's general session, for the first time in the thing, it just says something different. We don't know what it's going to be today. The general session. So.
Okay. And so, usually, they always say after the session, particularly us in the morning session, say don't tell the people who are in the afternoon so that they can be surprised also. Well, after it's over, we can talk about it, obviously.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things, too, that Stan had told me before when I posted this podcast. He said, don't talk about the what's happening with the sessions where you have the ticketed things because they'll run 2
right.
consecutive
Now close-up's over so you can talk about it.
Exactly right, like we just did. But he said as far as the things go for the general sessions, by the time you post that the next day, both of those will have already run. So those are free to talk. In case somebody's wondering why are you telling
He is good
the
at surprises. He likes, magic's all about surprise, and he likes having an element of that
we
here.
We can talk about that later this evening after both of those sessions have ended.
Yeah.
Tim, it's always great seeing you, man. I love talking to you. I wish we hung out and lived closer together.
Yeah, that's great, Scott. We've seen each other at a few conventions over the years.
Right. That's right. I remember having an in-depth conversation about Harrison Greenbaum at Magi Fest after he performed that first time. It was rather controversial.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. And, I have, with my Genie subscription, sometimes I go through my old Magic magazines on my iPad and see some of your convention reviews in print. What was that called? It was convention...
that was, you mean Magic Magazine.
Yeah, Magic. But,
I said Genie.
Well, you can access all of Magic digitally through your Genie subscription.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Every Magic magazine. So with your Genie subscription, you can look at every Genie magazine ever published and every Magic magazine that was published from 91 until it ended.
I did that for about 7 or 8 years. I had a monthly column, which I was a convention editor.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I had that little thumbnail picture of me, and so I was recognized whenever I would go some places internationally. I remember running into a guy in Dublin, Ireland. It's like, I know you. I see your picture in Magic Magazine.
Yeah, I miss Stan's magazine, so sometimes I'll go through old issues, It brings back memories.
It does. Tim, thanks very much. Good seeing you.
Great,
thanks for the help for the recap. And so for the magic word, that was Tim Hennig. Scotty out. We just finished the morning session, and again, if you have a red lanyard, you get the morning session, the white lanyard's the afternoon session, and it was fantastic. I've got Tom Vorjihan with me here right now. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, buddy.
It's always good to see you wherever we are.
I always do the morning sessions for exactly that reason. I want to see it the first time, and I want to see it when it's fresh. And, man, all 3 days, but this was such a great way to cap off the week.
It really has been. I mean, each of the sessions have been really great, and they've had a different MC for each one of the shows, as you say, the sessions. And the first day was Young and Strange, and then yesterday was with Master Payne, and today, quite different. You want to explain?
Well, a brilliant idea. I've seen it done in a show, but this format was fantastic, where the person being interviewed or talked to then became the interviewer for the next person that came out. For what? 8 of them? 7 of them?
Yeah, right.
And it was just unbelievable the way they could do that. And
you got to learn a little bit more also about that person's personality, because they were on one side of the microphone, and then they turned around, so they were
literally
the interviewer.
switched chairs.
Yeah, they literally switched chairs.
And the stagehand came out and moved the water bottle and brought out a new water bottle for the new guy or gal.
Yeah. And the topics they discussed were quite interesting. Like one of them, for an example, with Eric Tate, it was interesting. He was talking about his podcast, but he immediately went into talking about mental health.
Yes, and how he deals with anxiety and ways he deals to cope before he went on stage.
Phenomenal.
And then the whole Lego thing. I don't know how, Eric and I are friends. I don't know how I missed that story that he built Legos for 2 hours before he went on stage.
And that's something, by the way, for what Tom's talking about is when he was backstage, like at for FISM, and other people are setting up their jackets and their tables,
freaking
and
out.
Freaking out. And what is he doing?
He's building
Legos.
Yeah, Star Wars. He's building a Star Wars. 2 hours to build a Star Wars Lego.
Yeah.
I was dying.
Yeah. But it started off
I texted him right after he got off stage. I go, that was beyond fantastic.
And that's a good tip also, I think, for people who might be a little bit nervous or have some sort of anxiety about that, to find something that calms you down before a show. You need to have a little bit of anxiety before the show.
Yeah. But let's go back to the session. To start with Taylor Hughes coming out, who I could listen, he could.
Yeah.
But, and then to go full circle and have him come out at the end. Just a piece of brilliance right there from the guys who put this together.
As soon as he walked off the stage, I knew immediately he's going to come back around.
Did you really?
I did. I anticipated that. So it's like, okay, this is the end. Then
so they all exited to our left, and
Yep.
they all entered to the right.
Yep.
And so it was beyond brilliant. Yeah. But, yeah, you had Taylor. I'm having to look through my photos because it all becomes so quick of a blur, Scott.
Because he had introduced the next person.
Which was Morton.
That's right, Morton Christensen.
Now, I'd never seen him. You obviously had seen him at...
Yes. I've chatted with him on one of the
Watching
podcasts.
that show last night, my mouth was hanging open. And we talked about that. It's very rare as magicians.
That was a Little Big Show, which was fantastic.
Oh, unbelievable. But he, it gave me wonder again. It gave you it was a thrill. I mean, there were so many surprises in that act.
I always said he's the Danish Rick Merrill.
That's very funny. Yeah. It is very true. Yeah. And then
he talked about his anxiety also, and kind of he said, I'm not really a character. Hey, Chris, good job, man. And Christopher Hart there. He was part of this then, too.
Unbelievable. Yeah, for Christopher Hart to be able to summarize his career in life and magic and the movie and Mean Thing in what, 15 minutes or less?
Yeah. That was the thing.
That was better than Cliff Notes, for crying out loud.
So, yes, we had, who was that you said? We were just...
Morton.
Yeah, so Morton, talked about how he developed his act, and that's just kind of the way that he is. And there's Morton right there. Hey, Morton.
Hello.
Hey,
we were just talking
about you, man. Great job last night.
Saying good things.
Of course you are. Here's Morton Christensen right now. Here's again.
Hello.
Good to see you again. So
But I had never seen you. And so I said, and he was exactly right. It gives you wonder back, and it makes you believe in magic again.
Yeah. That's true. And I've been wanting to have a chance also maybe to sit down with you. Maybe we can do an episode.
We can do that.
You're going to be available like either late tonight or tomorrow morning or something?
Yeah.
Okay. How are we going to get in touch? Okay, hold let me pause this for a moment.
Yeah.
All right, so we got that all sorted. So that's
How fun
something
is that to be standing here and we're talking about him? He comes walking by.
That's right.
God bless Magic Live. But
and for you listeners, you'll get to hear an in-depth lecture or interview with, conversation then with Morton later. So after Morton,
Daniel Garcia comes walking out, gives him a big bear hug, and he goes like hugging a Tempur-Pedic. I was dying.
I was too.
I was dying because that was they had quite the little size difference, but.
Right.
Yeah, and then
He
Danny
talked about being consultant and his creativity.
Gosh. Oh yeah, and then the trick he did at the end, and we get a red herring, and then he turns left. Now I don't know what to believe, but it was a great trick. And there's no way to describe it for your listeners.
I can tell it quickly. He took a picture, put a picture in an envelope. They gave it to an assistant who had it tied to a balloon. He then they took it outside
and wrote a name down on it once he knew who the person was calling.
And so there was a person then who this guy was FaceTiming with, and so they went outside. They launched the balloon, and as they were talking, they were talking on FaceTime. Said, "Walk outside your front door." The balloon was there on his front step. He opened up this envelope, and there was a picture confirming that it had made the trip.
Yeah, I think you did a great job summarizing
that.
But I don't know that your listeners are going to be able to understand it.
No. You almost had to be there, but I wanted you to have at least some sort of an idea.
And that's so cruel to say, especially since you have a podcast. But yeah, Danny and Christian had a great conversation, and Danny's had such a illustrious career, 20 years with David Blaine and all the other people that he's talked to. And then out came Eric Tate. And then how'd you like when Eric finishes with a random deck of cards on a smooth top table?
Yeah. and a shuffle deck,
It was
brand
smeared,
new deck,
a
and it was
smeared,
yeah.
brand new deck that Danny opened up for him.
He does about 6 shuffles, and he cuts to the aces.
Cuts to one, and then bam, finds the other 3.
Just like that. Yeah.
God bless
Amazing.
Eric Tate.
Yeah, he's amazing. He learned that all from you?
No, but Eric and I go way back.
I know you
'cause
do.
He was there in Pigeon Forge.
He contributes a lot of his growth and mentorship to you, actually. So, and I'm
Very
being serious
cool.
about that, yeah.
And
So
then
then
I
Eric-
had not ever seen Rachel
Wax. Mm-hmm.
And that was a delight last night as
That
well.
was the first time I saw her last night, too.
And what a character! What a the
She's so
little
funny.
New York attitude and the way she comes across. But then to see when she put that mind mapping
Yes.
thing up there and how she's captured all those thoughts and everything about it, it was fantastic. And as we headed into the home stretch, is headed toward.
Then Rachel introduced the next guest, which was Chris Hart.
Right.
And then
And
Chris,
I hadn't seen Chris probably live in 15 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
and just as fantastic last night in the show as ever. And then, like I said, to hear him summarize his career.
But he has had
amazing.
a pretty good career, and it was interesting. Also, he brought out one of the prosthetic device that was used for the Addams family, and how they put that on like a stump on the top of his hand, so when you bend your wrist, you can imagine had that thing on there.
2
That
hours
took
of
2
makeup.
2 hours of makeup
Every day. And then he was talking about
Just
how
for a
he'd have his
hand.
hand up through a hole, and then by the time that they're ready to actually film it, all the blood had rushed out of his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, and you hear these things, and of course, this is after what? 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
that they filmed
It's been a
that
while,
ago?
yeah.
And those are the memories he has now. But and then he showed photos of the movie set of what he went through and stuff. And
Yeah.
you're like, wow. I mean, it really is movie magic when you think about it.
Yeah, I know he goes to Comic-Con. I'm sure he goes to Comic-Con and things like that. And I think he charges like $5 to put his hand on your shoulder or your head or something.
If he's only charging $5, he would be the cheapest person there.
Okay, well, maybe it was more, but
Yeah, it's crazy. And then Christopher, who I think is just a great speaker as well.
Yeah.
He shows up and he as we're heading down
and then he introduces Taylor. Yeah,
and so then Taylor brought out Stan, and Taylor did his license plate trick with us all. And,
Yep.
From his show, I've seen his show. And,
it's very
live.
good.
Yeah,
It was very good. It was well rounded. There's Danny Garcia right there. Hey, Alex Arangel. Hey, man. Good to see you. And so it was just a well rounded show, a lot of fun, and so that's a good recap. I think
it was a
of what
great
all we did there.
recap. Yeah.
So,
but, I mean, what a great week. But all the morning sessions, as I say, what Magic Live has that nobody. I could come in the morning, be happy after 2 hours,
Yeah.
and I could not see anything else, and I would have got my money's worth. It's no other convention does this, where they have people come out for 10 minutes or 30 minutes, and you never know how long somebody's going to be out there and how long they're going to talk.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Well, it's been great. Thank you very much. It's a good
Thanks for
recap
asking.
on what's been happening here this morning. This afternoon, we got a couple of sessions, I believe. They're going to be.
we got our
happening.
focus group later, but we got to get to the dealer's room because they're closing in 2 hours.
Because they're going to then switch over that for the big party tonight.
Oh, yeah.
The big black and white party.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
dash of red. So
Very
you're going to
cool.
bleed, going to have like a cut face and dripping blood.
No,
from the
actually,
shave.
I've got I think my black and white jacket has a little splash of pink where it's a signed jacket. of
There you go.
sorts, but-
So, from the Magic Word Podcast, that was Tom Borjahan. Well, we've just finished talking with Tom Borjahan about this morning's session. And as we're getting ready to go to the dealer's room, we'll run into another friend who, by the way, was on an episode a while back, John McLaughlin. Hey there, John.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
I am doing very well, and I didn't know he was here, but it's one of these kind of conventions where you don't know until the last day. It's like, hey, where you been?
Yeah, usually in the last hour you meet people that you wanted to talk to the first day, and you have 5 minutes to exchange a whole life's worth of
Basically so.
of experiences with them.
So
Yeah.
we did see a great session this morning, but it's been great the last couple of days, and plus the other focus groups. What has been kind of outstanding for you?
Well, I've always been obsessed with Houdini, and as
John
many
Cox.
magicians are. And the first session, which included a discussion of a long-lost, recently discovered, recently unveiled Houdini diary from the period before he was famous, from
Yeah.
19 1997 to 1999, when he really wasn't Houdini as we know him.
Right. He was really more of a magician rather than an escape artist.
A magician, carnival performer, and it was Martin Beck, of course, who toward the end of that period told him, drop the magic, do the handcuffs.
Right.
And that was the pivotal turning point in his life when he became Houdini as we know him.
Right, and he's writing a whole book about that. I mean, it was based upon the diary that Bruce Averbook had.
And the most fascinating thing to me was that it was very difficult to read Houdini's writing because obviously the most fascinating thing was that it was so difficult to read Houdini's writing because you can imagine he just scrawled this as they were moving along in a wagon or somewhere.
Right.
And John Cox has somehow read enough of his handwriting that he was able to decipher it and then link the dates up with other things he knew in Houdini's life. So it was fascinating.
Well, I thought it was amazing also, just as you said, to be able to decipher that handwriting because apparently John had read enough of his diaries or other things in the past where he kind of knew his handwriting, and he had some other people who knew a little bit about it. But not only that, there were different things he had to take out, saying, okay, that's not part of the thought. This has to do like how much his dry cleaning was or something.
Exactly, exactly. And also the other fascinating part of it was that the diary is blank at the moment when Houdini becomes the performer on the Orpheum circuit. In other words, he's no longer having to take notes about his lunch or his dry cleaning or his transportation. Someone's taking care of all of that for him at that point. So that was
That's what he was saying, that a blank page said more than full pages.
Yeah, it was quite wonderful.
Yeah.
If you're a Houdini buff, as we all are.
As we all are, it seems like. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be coming to Vegas next year for the Collectors Expo?
You know, I'm not really a collector. I love collectors, and I love the collections to see them. I probably won't be here, but I try and get to one of those as
well,
best
if you come
I
over
can.
with this one next year, I understand we're all going to get to go to Copperfield's Museum.
Oh, well, I'll be here for this, and I've always wanted to go to the museum. He's invited me a couple times, but it's usually been inconvenient because I had to leave, and I think when you do the museum, you do it late at night.
It is. It's like about 2 in the morning or something, after his shows are over. And,
it's like, as I remember from my former career when I would go to places like Saudi Arabia, you'd wait till 2 or 3 in the morning to see some potentate or prince.
Right.
Because that's how they operated. They're not on our same...
different time schedule.
Well, it's not even that. They just go to sleep when they want to and get up when they want to, and you're kind of...
At their mercy.
At their mercy,
yeah. That's true. John, always good seeing you.
Great.
Hope all is well.
Great to see you, Scott.
So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was John McLaughlin, Scotty Hawk. Again, here at the convention, so many people to see and talk with that if we talk with everybody, this would be, I don't know, days. Anyhow, Tom Frank's with me right now, and I had him on a lecture tour some time ago, and if you haven't seen him...
2017.
When was it? 17, okay. Boy, that just...
40 cities in 60 days.
And they loved you, and I'm still using your bananas. I love them. I mean, they last forever. So here he is saying about Tom Frank. Hey, Tom, how you doing? You doing okay?
I'm selling bananas, and I'm selling cigars, and...
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I got your cigars, too. And also had that little thing that I bought a thing for a Sharpie and going, you had one of those before, too, and I found that the Sharpie...
Tricky wallet?
No, it's a Sherpa that you put a Sharpie in the Sherpa.
Right.
So it looks like a cigar.
It looks like a cigar, yeah. Well, good. And how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. I've been keeping busy. I've been traveling a ton, and had moved to the Austin area from Houston last year. But I've been traveling so much, that I'm not home much at all. It seems like I'm home.
Well, you are the magic man of all time. Can I ask you a personal?
You may certainly.
When I was with you on the tour, you were in a very turbulent time. How are you doing with all of that?
Thank you. Yeah, my wife had passed at about that time, and I have moved forward and with her. She's by my side now. She is in my heart, and I have done well. In fact, I was out we were talking earlier about collectors convention and the Magic Expo, and I was at Long Beach, and I was sprinkling some of her ashes on off the bow of the ship because we had spent some time there at one time. And so as we were, then and Stan Allen was with me, and Stan said, "I'm so happy and proud of you because the way you reinvented yourself." And
my heart was breaking for you on that trip, and
that was tough. That was tough that time. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, you look great, you sound great.
Well, thank you.
The quality of your work gets better every year, and I want to thank you for your friendship.
Well, thank you, Tom, and indeed for yours as well. You're a great guy.
Very kind of you to say.
But we're here at the convention to bring things back up. What have you been enjoying the things? Is there something that kind of stands out as being a highlight for you?
Well, to be honest with you, my tinnitus has been... Do you know what that is?
I do. Ringing of the ears.
Yeah, and it's been a real challenge. So I've had to... I've tried to see a little bit of everything, but I'm finding myself having to leave early because these rooms are too quiet, and I need louder noise in my head.
So you hang out in the dealer's room a lot, I guess. A lot of noise in there.
Actually, I'm going out by the pool.
Okay.
And I've just I've spent a lot of time this convention by myself in my room by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, it makes me sad a little bit, but it's like you got to look out for number one,
You do. Your health is what's important, or you're not going to be around long.
Yeah, and I'm as healthy as I've ever been. And it's just my head.
Yeah.
All right, my friend.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you very
much,
Tom.
Good talking to you.
Did we cover any magic important questions?
Probably not, but a couple people might be interested in knowing.
Okay.
All right.
I tell you what, I love you.
Love you too, Tom.
Give me a hug.
All right, man. So for the Magic Word Podcast,
Keep up the good work.
I shall. That was Tom Frank. As I'm heading to the dealer's room, it's going to be closing probably about an hour and a half or so. I ran into a guy who's leaving without any bags in his hands, because you've already bought stuff. Trig Watson. Hey, Trig, how you doing, man?
Hey, Scott, I'm well.
Did you buy anything during the last couple of days, or have you kind of avoided that?
No, I have bought a couple things. I got in the Hansen Chen booth. There's a really amazing exploding potato chip that I think has some cool augmented reality possibilities. For me, I'm sort of in the market for close-up magic that I can integrate with some cool techie AR, VR sort of stuff. So
you're the tech magician.
Exactly. So yeah, I found a couple things that fit that bill for me.
I remember seeing that in Blackpool. In fact, it was funny you mentioned that because at breakfast this morning someone had brought up that trick.
It was sold out. I was in Blackpool, and I remember it being sold out. I didn't get to experience it live, so it was cool to get to see it here.
Has he sold out here now already?
I'm sure he has.
Probably has. There have been a few things that some people have brought. I heard like Joshua Jay's book sold out the first evening, Sunday evening and everything, and there's some other things too. It's just been amazing, this whole convention. What is your takeaway so far? What have you seen here? I mean, you're wearing a red lanyard, so you just saw this morning's session then as well. But perhaps the past few sessions or the focus groups, there's been something that's been outstanding for you?
I particularly enjoyed Curtis Hickman's talk from The Void. And, he's describing how he's used magic principles to elevate the VR experience. And, as a techie enthusiast, I really enjoy just hearing his perspective. And, for me, my favorite part of these conferences is just, getting your brain is sort of given things to mull over, to change your perception of what you're doing yourself, and also just the conversations. I've had, more than any other Magic Live year for me, I think it's just been about having conversations with people I admire and getting their thoughts on, where I could take my own work in the future. Just helpful to get an outside perspective from people.
Right, and kind of recharge your brain a little bit and get some new ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And also be reminded that, it's obviously a week like this, it's so easy to just have a million conversations with people. But these people exist more than just August 4th through 7th. There's actually we can have these conversations. We have the marvels of technology. We've got Zoom and phone calls. We can connect like this
at
other times of the year.
Want.
And so I think I get in my own little bubble.
But some of these people are not brought to mind until we actually are here.
I do call Randy frequently. Randy just stepped in, and I call her frequently. Like, hey, I have an idea.
So I just saw Randy over at Dow's pool party.
Oh yeah,
you weren't there.
No, I wasn't. I would have loved to be.
I wish you were.
That would have been an airplane that I would have had to
You got to
pay
go
for.
someplace.
Yeah.
Well, with were you there a few years ago when Curtis first given his talk on?
I was. Yeah.
What I loved about that was just thinking outside the box, where you think you would have to have a flat surface like a warehouse, but he said no, it could be like in a silo.
Yeah. I love it when magic principles get used in a different way than, like, obviously you can generate astonishment, but you can also use the exact same principles to make people feel like nothing is weird, to create the experience, simulate a real life experience that isn't actually happening.
Right.
It's really interesting. Yeah.
So where are you going from here as far as what's your next big thing? I mean, as far as other corporate things, but I mean, as far as television,
honestly,
where people see you.
Yeah, I just shot something for TV last week, but that'll come out a little later. At the moment, I am just happy to have a little bit of space. After AGT, that kept me really busy, and just sort of a flood of all kinds of opportunities. And now I'm kind of feeling like I've got and make some decisions about, where I want my career to go. So I don't have any solid answers yet, but I look forward to sharing.
Well, you've answered my next question, because I was going to ask you about what is your 5, 10, or 20-year plan? I mean, is there some place you want to be or
no,
not?
At the moment for me, I'm really thinking about how can I optimize my career to allow for me to create new things. I love the creative process. I also love performing, but I don't want to just be performing the same thing over and over and over again. So I'm thinking a lot about, what sort of career, what sort of business model can I as an artist performer have so that I can foster time to make things and then perform them, but not so much that it gets root. So, big picture at the moment, my best idea is collaborate with companies who are tech savvy and want to collaborate with me to create new work, and then let those partnerships, those corporate bookings fund my more creative pursuits, like funding a theater tour.
Right.
So if I can spend a couple months out of the year touring, make some video content, and document my creative process, and do a few corporate things along the way that stretch me in new ways, I'm happy.
Well, that's the thing I'm always saying to people, that if you have a long-term goal, then you have a deadline, more or less. In other words, if you want to have a theater show, you need to say, okay, by the year, 2030, I want to be here and do this, or have my own theater where people come to see me, or be part of a troupe, kind of like with Ray Anderson, at Estes Follies, or whatever it's going to be, because you might reach the age of 60 or 70 and say, well, I've had a good time, but you really didn't have a pathway to get to where you are.
Well, Taylor Hughes, during the morning session, had a really good note about that, where he had a friend that held him accountable, and, he mentioned, I'm not sure if you've talked about this with anyone else, but, in his interview, he was talking about how a friend was asking him what his goal was, and Taylor said, I want to do a special, and this friend said, well, that was your goal last year. What do you have to show for it? And he had come up with all these excuses, and his friend said, all right, when's your next free week? And his friend booked a ticket to LA to say, okay, this is when I'm coming to LA for you to work on your special, and I think...
Now got a deadline.
Yeah, exactly, and we need to push each other in that way. I think we need to hold each other accountable, and honestly, I've had a lot of conversations like that this week of people asking me these sort of scary questions of like, all right, it's a great idea, but when and how?
Right.
You've got all the pieces you need, more than many people. You got to do it.
Well, I just had a conversation, had breakfast with Kit Cummins a couple of weeks ago, and he said, your podcast is a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you consider that as a 0, where can you take this? And I think that's a kind of a good lesson for life. Wherever you are in your career, and you think, okay, I've kind of succeeded at a certain point, rethink that such that you are now starting at your base again, having all this knowledge. Where do you want to go to from here? And what do you do to achieve that next level? Otherwise, you're going to stay at 10. 10's great, but it's kind of like here in Vegas. They tear down successful casinos all the time to rebuild something else. As soon as they get to a height of success, it's like, boom, tear it down, have something new.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying good idea is to always have something in advance of where you want to go.
Yeah, there's a book I'm reading at the moment, which I can recommend on that topic, which is 10x is easier than 2x. And it's, it sounds sort of like a no-brainer, sort of business, personal development, BS, but it's actually, it makes a really interesting point that sometimes the bigger ideas are easier to execute than a 2 times idea, because everything has to change in order to achieve it. Like, everyone is competing to be 2 times better than they are now.
Yes.
Not many people are trying to be 10 times better than they are
I like
now.
that.
And once you aim for that 10x goal, you have to become a different person. In the same way that life events sometimes cause us to go 10x. Like fatherhood, all of a sudden if you're a dad, you can't be on the road anymore. Like, you start making some major identity shifts in order to acknowledge the fact that you now have someone to care for.
Right.
And I've been thinking a lot about, like, you don't have to let those, even if those sort of circumstances aren't happening to you, with some thought and courage, you can change the version of yourself to be able to be positioned to achieve that crazier goal. So anyway, it's a super great book. Highly recommended.
10X.
10X is easier than 2X.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, my
Always
pleasure.
a pleasure to talk with you.
Likewise.
We need to sit down sometime and talk at length.
I'd love that.
Okay, and we will. Because you said we can do it any time. Okay, so the Magic Word Podcast. There he was. That's Trig Watson and Scotty Out. So now we're standing in the dealer room. It's a little bit noisier. Let's just step outside the door so it's not as noisy, that we can maybe go down the hallway over here. And so John Chirac is with me right now. John, doing okay?
I'm doing great.
You loving the convention?
It's been a blast.
What's been one of the highlights of you so far?
The same as always, hanging with my buddies.
People?
That's
Yep.
why we're here.
Yeah, I saw Chip Romero and all those guys
Sure.
that I pulled you away from here
Yeah.
to chat for a bit. Yes, and the sessions have been really good. I didn't get to hang out much late last night. How was the hang by the bar?
We always have fun. It's like a family of friends from like a high school reunion or something, So it's always a great time.
Yeah, I was working on this podcast late last night, and after being in Colon for the Abbott's get-together last week and coming straight here and then doing these podcasts and putting it together, I was putting together yesterday's like at about 9:30 or so, and it's like, I have just had it. I've got to lay down. And just as I hit the pillow, I get a text from Manichek, and he said, hey, we're down at the bar. Come see me. It's like, man, I've just got to recharge. My body's telling me no. So I knew that I was missing a good time down there. So
it's always fun.
And of course, well, it's the night before the big party. Tonight is going to be the going away party and some other gifts they give us and whatnot. And he always has a theme and whatnot. But some of the sessions have been really good. And as far as you've seen the close-up shows. And
I saw all the
things?
shows. I'm sure people said it before. The Little Big Show was a highlight.
That was one for me too.
Yeah, it was.
Christopher Hart was emceeing the show.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. There's been a lot of great acts. I've enjoyed everything I've seen. The close-up show is fantastic. So Stan always does a great job. Mm-hmm. It's always a good time to come here.
Yep. And I've told this to 2 or 3 people already in the past day or two about how you've been my example of saying that the convention is so big. It's usually like I remember seeing John Chirac like on the last day. He said, when did you get here? Well, I've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
We just and I just was talking with John McLaughlin just a few moments ago. Same thing with him. He's my new John Chirac story. It's like he's the last day, that happened. Yeah, I've been here the whole time, man. But when we have different colored badges, yours is white, mine's red, so that
it happens. You're running a little bit different
circles as far as what our...
And there's so many people here. I mean, 1,600 people. How can you see everybody?
1,600 people are my best friends. That's the thing.
New best friends.
New best friends. That's right. John, thanks very much. Always good to chat with you.
Cheers, brother. I appreciate it.
Magic Word Podcast. That was John Chirac. Scotty out. As an addendum to that, by the way, I just had John Chirac on a mini tour down in Florida. So if any of you clubs who are listening out there are interested in hosting John, he might be considering, you think you might want to go on a tour?
I would love to go on a tour. I had so much fun with the clubs we did. I don't do a lot of lectures, but I'm starting to do it. I like it. I really had a good time.
Warren and Annabelle's is
Warren and
a little bit more time
so
now.
Definitely have more time to go outside. I'd love to go out again.
Yep. So you can write me lectures, that's plural lectures, at scottwells.com, and let me know, and I'll get back in touch with John, and we'll try to arrange sometime in 2025 when perhaps he might come to a club near you. Just give me a call or drop me a line. Thanks again. Scotty and John out. We had a conversation a while back that was an episode with Julie Yang, and before that we had one with Randy Pitchford, and I've got both of them with me right now. Julie, hello.
Hello.
And Randy, good to see you.
Hi, Scott. Good to see you.
I am so excited. I bet you guys are too. And of course, the newest word is that you guys have given. Look at this. I got goosebumps. But see all that hair standing up? I'm thinking about what you guys are going to.
It's gonna be cool.
First of all, it's Magic Castle, and then you were having Genie, and then now you're going to.
We're going to really change Magic. I think it's going to be a lot of
Tell me about this. What's the
direction? A lot of
direction?
opportunity. Randy's invited me to come and join Genie Enterprises as the executive director.
Right.
And my job is to not only take care of the magazine and help it change and grow and meet our needs of community, but also to build an online community and also to build up our publishing division.
Yes.
All part of the sort of expansion of growing Magic.
Right. And the exciting thing further is to have Jim Steinmeier.
Can you believe it?
No. I mean, when you said he's going to be the editor, I said, well, what?
Well, listen, Richard has huge shoes to fill.
Oh, he does.
Richard's
such a
written,
great job.
I owe Richard so much.
And it'll be 300 editions by the time he finishes.
Yes, and so I can't think of anyone better to be the successor to Richard than
when you asked him,
Jim Steinmeier.
I assume that you were the one who asked him to do this.
Actually, no.
No?
This is something that Julie and Richard and
so
Jim
tell me, how'd that come
picked
about?
up together.
Well, what is wonderful is that Richard actually spawned this whole, this whole change is because of Richard Kaufman.
Yeah.
First of all, he made a choice to retire. He was loving Genie, but he's also wanting to get back into his book writing.
Family.
Greater Magic.
Someday we all want to read Greater Magic, right?
And Richard was
if I can lift it.
Richard was inspired. He said when Randy suggested that we make these changes, and I was coming on board, Richard and I had some conversations with Randy about it. But it was Richard who was really inspired to reach out to his friend Jim Steinmeier as an interim executive editor to help steer this course and change. So we have Richard to thank for this.
We do.
So he's kind of gotten into it slowly rather than saying, here's day one and throwing it in your hands. That's a good idea.
And Jim has only embraced this idea of change. He's been working with Randy and me on really big changes for the February 2025 issue. We've expanded the Genie editorial team, which Jim Steinmeier is going to share in the next issue. In fact, that's coming out soon, September edition of Genie. So read all about the changes that are coming there. I'm really excited because you're going to see some major voices.
Are you going to be going to Perfect Bound?
Well, we're going to look at all of these things. We're going to change content. We're going to change format. We're going through a whole new branding, exercise.
Right.
We want to really elevate the idea of bringing Magic back to being essential.
And as far as kicking that off, are you offering some sort of a discount or something to people to get involved? Or
we certainly are excited to bring back our current subscribers. We want to invite back people who have maybe not read Genie for a few years.
Let it lapse.
Yeah. So
I think one of the exciting things about the future, if you're an existing subscriber, is you're going to notice that things are going to be getting bigger and better, and there's more value. It's already an insane, Genie magazine. You understand, the price hasn't changed in forever.
Right.
And it is the most valuable, in terms of what you're getting out of it for what you're paying, it's the most valuable thing in Magic.
For archival purposes.
We're going to be increasing that. If you are a subscriber, hold on to it because consider yourself grandfathered in. If you're not a subscriber, you want to get on that bandwagon as soon as you can because the world is shifting and we're going to be inviting a lot new people in. And look, I'm very fortunate. I've been very lucky, and I feel grateful that I'm in a position where I can do what it takes to make sure that people like Julie and Jim can not just have to jump in the minute before the next issues due, but jump in now and build that future and have runway to build that future. And you understand that there's a cost to all this, right? This isn't free, but by making that commitment and making that investment, we can build something bigger and better for the future. And then it's the new people that we bring in that we can expect to help carry that, which means if you're already with us, I'm trying to speak in code here.
I kind of understand that.
But don't go away. Don't go away if you're with us.
Yeah, if you're with don't go
in
away.
fact, if you were thinking about getting involved, do it now. Because the future is going to be bigger and more exciting.
And starting in February is when the new first issue.
The first issue under Jim's watch will be in February 2025. Richard will complete his run of 300 issues with the January 2025 issue.
Well, darn it, I've let my subscription lapse, and you've talked me into it.
Let's go back to the Genie booth.
I'm going to go. I'll follow the Genie
now.
booth right now, and I'm going to actually subscribe. Then now. And so I'm encouraging listeners also. I believe, Randy, if you're saying that, man.
Scott, we're in the dealer room.
Yeah.
When I think about the ungodly amount of money I've just spent buying stuff that's going to sit in my drawer.
Backpacks.
It's going to sit in my drawer and probably not get performed. And then I think back over just in the last 6 months, the number of tricks I've learned in Genie and how many of them I actually perform for people.
Yeah.
I we have something's wrong with our pitch.
Yeah.
Because it is absolutely the best value in Magic, and it's the history of Magic that we're living in real time also there with us. And I'm grateful that we have Jeannie, and I'm grateful that we have Julie joining Jeannie with Jim to help fix the pitch and make sure the world understands how important Jeannie is.
It really is. Yeah. And as I said, I was a subscriber, and I've written a few articles, for him in the past. And I love Paul Osborne's Illusions that he used to show in there every month for a long time. There are so many different things. I mean, the iterations, the way that it's gone from one hand to another, but the job that Richard has done over the last...
Unbelievable.
It has been unbelievable.
And don't forget, with the subscription, you also get access to our archive, and not only Jeannie's archive, but all of Magic's archive.
Yeah,
I just learned that today.
25 years of Magic Magazine.
We have a lot of information that you're getting with one subscription.
We're here at Magic Live right now, which is one of my favorite places to be in the world. I could be anywhere in the world right now, and I'm here with you, Scott.
Yeah.
That tells you something,
I do feel
right?
Special.
Yeah. But this is when Stan got to the point where he committed to this.
Yeah.
And but there were people that had subscriptions to Magic.
Yes.
And so we were able to help Stan out and help Magic out by bringing that catalog, bringing all those subscribers to Jeannie, and letting everyone that subscribed to Jeannie have access to that incredible history as well.
I was just talking to someone earlier and saying, I was looking back at some of your articles that I had in Magic Magazine that was when I was doing as a convention editor. And I said, where'd you get access to that? And he said, through Jeannie. I said, what?
Yeah, right? Can you believe, and that's...
God, you're going to have to catch up and join Jeannie.
But that's one of the cool things, and I think that's also one of the great things that Julie adds. I like to think of myself as, look, there's a bunch of stuff going on between the Magic Castle and the Academy, but at the end of the day, we're a family.
I don't want to get into all that.
And we're bringing everything together, and we brought Magic and Jeannie together. How did we bring Stan Allen and Richard Kaufman together?
I didn't know that ever happened,
It's a miracle.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what, though? We're magicians. We do miracles.
Yes. And that's what Magic is.
Yes.
It's a community, and there's room for everyone. And
let's
I really
get above all that
and go back to doing what we love to.
I kind of feel like if there would have been a session with you two guys, this would have been it right now. So you guys could listen to this and so something that you may have missed. This is it right now with Julie and Randy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Scott. Cheers.
Appreciate Magic in general. I'm looking forward to
what you're doing
an exciting
for Magic,
future.
too.
Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Thanks
Cheers.
Thanks for being at the banquet. Also, the AMA. Whenever I got that special fellowship.
Cheers. Oh, absolutely, 100%.
100%. So with the Magic Word Podcast, that was Julie Yang and Randy Pitchford. Scotty L.
Cheers.
We just finished the convention. Pretty much is all the way over, except just for the final farewell party, and we're going to be getting our souvenir program, I guess, as a parting gift, and Stan will tell us the dates for next year and everything then as well. But I've got with me right now to talk about the Hidden Cabaret Theater, Jamie Salinas. Hey, Jamie.
How you doing?
And I'm doing fantastic, thank you. And, of course, Chip Romero, the leading authority in the world on Doug Henning. How you doing, Chip?
Hello, everybody, and thanks for asking us to talk, Scott.
You're welcome. So let's talk a little bit about this evening's show. You've had an opportunity to see the Hidden Theater. What they did this year a little bit differently, instead of having two main big shows, I think they split them up into four and kind of divided it up a little bit. And so with three shows, was it? Okay. So they locked off like the sides, like the wings on each side of the theater, and they set up something that looked like a little kind of a speakeasy, I guess, on stage. So and Steve Valentine was the host. What did you guys think of the show?
Well, I thought it was a great show. It's a great way to end the evening. All solid, fantastic performers. Sitting to my left is Chad Long, constantly going, wow, wow. Danny Garcia's laughing, really loud. I mean, it's just a great show. Great all around.
Yeah. Chip, who was your favorite there?
Man, it's hard to say. Again, very well-rounded show. I was really happy to see Joseph at the end. I've always loved his work. Steve Valentine's Cards to Pocket is the best in the business.
Yep.
Again, it's the problem is I can't say some of their names is the problem.
I know what you mean.
I'm really sorry, and I feel really bad about that. But the fact is, these names are not like anything we pronounce, and my memory's going. But
well, I can tell you.
I know this. I'm going to buy a bed sheet and a bird cage. How about
a flashlight?
And a flashlight, because that was a phenomenal act. But I'm just so sorry I can't say his name.
Well, I can tell you, for me, I love the whole show, but my favorite was Nate Bargatze. I mean, I was amazed that Nate was here.
I didn't know Nate did magic
They
like that.
introduced Nate, and he came out. Now, Nate has kind of aged a little bit. He had
Gotten gray
kind of
hair,
yeah,
pot belly a little bit.
He was hilarious. It was so good. I've only seen video, so it was great to see Nate in person.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Now, should we tell him?
Yeah.
No, they're
No.
here.
Yeah, and
He was related to Nate.
I like the idea, like I said, that Joseph Gabriel was almost like a surprise, because the way they had the stage set up is on both sides, it had like a speakeasy kind of a thing, and then behind there was like a two-tiered kind of a thing behind them, and then
The set was from Jersey Boys.
Correct.
It was permanently placed in the theater, and they worked around it, and they did an amazing job.
because they had the Evasons there, and so Tessa was on the top. She was even further away. So typically, when Jeff and Tess Evanson are performing, Jeff's going out in the audience. Well, in this case, he's going out to the people who are seated in the, quote, cafe or in the speakeasy, because they brought a few people up before the thing began, apparently, who they'd identified about 20 people or so. And so, that was, I think, kind of a neat way that they incorporated that Jersey Boy stage.
Good. It was really good.
Yeah.
For me, it had kind of a Club Babalu feel. Remember
That was
Lucy
it.
and Ricky?
And that kind
they
of
would
a-
have the tables on the side and everything. That's exactly what it looked like
Exactly what it was.
to me. Yeah.
And
Remember
then,
that? Lucy, I Love Lucy?
Of course.
Ricky Ricardo?
And they even had the guy with the bongo player.
Yes, Babalu. There you go.
Because they had a real live band back there. The Moonshiners, I think they were.
Oh, they were great, too.
Yeah, that added a lot by having a live band, and Nate Bargatze kept getting these rim shots.
Oh, like I said, that was my favorite part. It was hilarious. So.
Oh, I laughed till I cried. Till I cried.
As I said, the Evansons I thought did a great job in there as well. I'm trying to think who else was in the show. But what I was going to say about Joseph Gabriel at the end is kind of like, okay, well, we're letting everybody go, and then after everybody left, then all the acts came out, and they said, well, like we normally do, that all the acts usually can get together in a bar someplace, and then we kind of perform for each other. And tonight, we're going to bring out Joseph to perform for the acts, basically.
A fantastic close to the show.
Yeah, it was. It was different than something they've ever done before, and so it was really good. So overall, what was? I'm going to ask each of you what your favorite part of the show was. I mean, not the show, but the favorite part of the
whole convention.
The whole convention, yeah.
For me, it was probably seeing the FISM act that was in the Little Big Show. I don't remember his name, but
His name is Morton.
There you go, with the sound effects and the lighting. And what really amazed me as somebody who...
No, that's not Morton Christian. Morton Christian was the...
That was the Manip Act. I'm sorry. I was talking about the... Okay. Morton was from FISM, too.
I'll have to look him up in the program, but as you know, and I know, putting on a convention at a hotel is a very big deal. And the way they had the seating was beautiful. They took a meeting room, a ballroom, and turned it into a beautiful theater. I mean, a professional lighting, staging, it was incredible.
Yeah.
So I love that show.
That was I think one of my favorites was the Little Big Show there as well, hosted by Christopher Hart, which was awesome.
I totally agree. By far, the best for me was Little Big Show, no doubt. I also loved Chris Philpott and Steve Valentine's focus session, and I loved and always loved his work, Christian Ingram. Those were highlights for me.
The session, the focus session that Steve Valentine and Chris Philpott did together, one of the guys that was on earlier said, I went back a second time to see it. I mean, there was so much information in there because they kept quoting so many different great actors and people from the past. They were showing videos like of Tom Hanks or whomever, and giving you great ideas that you really can't swallow all that just in one setting.
Well, for me, the focus session, there was two people. The guy named Ren, last name The Mentalist. He makes the Devil's Cups. He had some great touches on that. He had some great stuff to share. And even though these guys will know I'm not a card guy, I love Christian England's stuff, and I bought a couple of his card stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not a card guy, but there you go.
Yeah. And Chip, any of the focus sessions that come to mind that you're thinking of?
No, what I had said, Chris Philpott and Steve Valentine, and I just love Christian England.
Yeah.
I love watching what he does. He fools me badly.
Yeah.
And he showed us his foolish act, and he didn't explain it, but he performed it for us, and it was a fantastic show.
Well, this is a pretty good wrap, I think, for this convention, and we've had just a fantastic time. Looking forward to the next one here soon. I'll be seeing you, Chip, then for Magic Texas in Arlington, and you and Mark Jensen are going to be doing. You want to talk about that a little bit?
The drive-in double feature. Mark's going to talk about Marshall Bodine, and I'm going to talk about Doug Henning, and then it'll be wonderful. Historians Unite. It'll be fun, and we hope we can bring some young ones in there and teach them about these guys that paved the way for us.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So now it's time for us to head to the big party.
The big party started at 10 o'clock. We need to go over there about that time. And martinis are getting dry. We need to go fill them up. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Jamie Salinas and Chip Romero, a couple of my best friends in Magic. Talk to you later. Scotty out. So before that we depart from the convention, one of the people I ran into was a longtime friend who I've seen grow up in the Magic conventions and as a contestant, and he did pretty good. Matter of fact, on America's Got Talent, took it all, and he's got his own show. Here he is, Shin Lim. Hey, Shin, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Scott?
Fantastic. Very good to see you again. So I was just saying that now that Colin has gone his way, and you've got Peter, who is it working with?
Peter Antonio.
Peter Antonio. So you need to come and see the show.
Yeah, and then now I have Casey Kathleen, my wife, as well.
Oh, good.
She's in the show. She does manipulation combined with dancing. It's really cool, and it fits into the storyline. And now Peter is the new narrator of the show, so it kind of will feel like a new show, even though I do my greatest hits, of course.
And, of course.
But everything else is kind of different. So it's a new experience.
Have you been working on any new stuff?
Yeah, more illusions actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So not just all close-ups. So I mean, we don't have to watch the TV monitor. You can actually see.
Oh no, it's a bigger screen now. So so you can see the close-up even better.
There you go.
No, I'm working on some illusions, especially for the end of the show, to make it just feel more immersive.
You mean like big box illusions type of furniture?
No boxes.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll have to see.
Who's consulting for you?
Casey, my wife.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, it's me and her. We both direct the show, and we create pretty much everything in the show, including the mentalism bits as well. We also create that part.
Now, you were at the Mirage, and that was recently torn down, or what's the status?
It's being torn down, unfortunately. I wish I would have stayed there forever if I wanted to.
Yeah, it would have been fantastic.
Because there's so much history there, and it's called the Mirage. It's something so magical about that, right? And so I'm so sad to see it go down, but now I'm going to be at the Venetian in October, so...
Just make a nice, smooth transition.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to move a show, but it's going to be a better hotel, a better theater in terms of the electronics inside of it. You have more capabilities to do bigger stuff. Hence why I'm doing more illusions.
Now the theater where you were at the Mirage, like 1,700 seats or something.
It was 1,300.
13. What's the new one going to be?
1,600.
So, oh wow! Yeah. Because you were sold out every night anyhow, right? Pretty
much. Yeah. I mean, there were some moments there. There's always slow days, but majority of the time, the average capacity was 92%, I believe.
Yep. Well, congratulations. I mean, that's just awesome. And you say starting in October at the Venetian?
Yeah, October 17th.
There we go.
Tentatively.
And you go through Christmas too, right?
Yeah, Christmas as well.
That's great, because a lot of acts, Magic acts in particular, come and go, in Vegas. You've been here now for 6 years?
Yeah, I've officially lived here for 4 years. Yeah. But I first started my very first opening 6 years ago.
So one of my most important questions is, how's your mom?
She's great. She's still managing my money, and she's still making sure. Yeah, she's still the same.
Make sure you can make good decisions.
Yeah, she's the same paranoid person as per usual, but she's always looking out for her son. So I'm very grateful for that.
That's right. All right. Well, it's time to get a little bit of ice cream right there. Thank you very much, Shin. Good
Thank
seeing
you so
again.
much.
I'm going to let you go.
Great to see you, Scott.
You too. Take care, man. So for this Magic Word Podcast, this is Scotty out. Well, if you have listened to many of the episodes in the past of our convention reports from Magic Live, we always make a wrap with the organizer. I hate to bother him during the convention because he's going in 16 different directions and everybody's wanting to talk to him, or there's a problem about this or that, and after it's over he can actually sit down and have a beer and have a quiet conversation for just a few minutes before he runs back to... Here he is. Hey, Chief. Stan Allen.
Hi.
I have more words than he does. And I know you love to hear my voice, don't you?
Always.
You're killing me. Okay, so I'm going to quit asking yes or no questions. So this has been another challenge for you, or another year of walking the tightrope, and how do you think that this year... Well, I thought it was fantastic. First of all, I've been hearing reports. I haven't heard anybody saying, well, this was weak or whatever, but how do you think it went?
Well, I think it went okay. I mean, with a total lack of objectivity? Sure. I mean, you think, you talk about a show like tonight, The Hidden Cabaret, or The Little Big Show, or one of those. These things start, on a dry erase board. And, after hours and hours and hours and days and days and days, they end up on a stage somewhere. And, you've lived with it. You don't, it's like saying, well, how is your child? Is your child a good child, bad child, good person, whatever? It's a little hard to judge because you've seen everything, every aspect, every possibility of it.
Right.
So I am not a very good judge of our convention.
Well,
I'd let's go out in the room and ask people and find out.
Well, let me say that what I have heard from people that I have been talking to over the last few days have all had their favorites, but one of the things that keeps coming to mind is The Little Big Show. That was just great. We haven't seen Chris Hart in a while, and for him to come out of, quote, retirement, because he doesn't do a lot of magic conventions or anything, works the castle from time to time, but just solid and a great MC, and the rest of the acts were all just top-notch.
Well, the thing about The Little Big Show is we did a Little Big Show 2 or 3 years ago, and it's a challenge because it's done in the room where the party is held the night before. It has to be in that room, which means we have people building out a theater, and it's all raised seating, 225 seats. It's got more lights in it than the stage show does. And we built this theater deliberately to showcase parlor-size acts, medium-size acts, because you don't see big stage shows, big stage illusions.
We don't much anymore.
And so there's this new size that's becoming prominent. So we wanted to build a theater again to really focus on that. And then we managed to put together 5 acts that, all bring something unusual to the table. And having Chris Hart as the MC, people don't know Chris, that Chris is first of all, he's a very fine magician.
Right.
You watch his act and you realize, damn, that's good.
Exactly. Every piece.
And then, that he can talk.
Yeah.
And he's charming and he's funny. And Rachel Wax, we've never had before.
She's wonderful.
She's terrific. Yeah, and she's so smart.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows how to play the room, to read the room, and she hasn't been doing this for 40 years. She's still a young lady, but she's developed it. Yeah, she's got
timing
that.
and chops are great.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see her at a comedy club, and that would be a lot edgier, but she knows where to put it perfectly for us. And then Piero was a guy I found in Italy doing the needles. And
I'm glad you mentioned his name, because we've been talking about this about the last couple of days, and nobody can remember the guy's name, the last 2 Italians' names. And so, good. Piero is his name?
Yes, Piero.
Okay.
And he's an actor and a magician.
Huh.
And it shows. It shows very much. And so he did that classic trick, and then you don't get much better than Morten Christensen, for an act. I mean, it's so 100%, he's all in. It is so him. It's so well done. And then Francesco Dell'Abano.
That's the guy.
I don't know who sent me the link. Somebody sent me a link and said, you should see this guy. I mean, I get hundreds of these a year. But I looked at that one and said, hang on, this is pretty good. And so they formed the 5. So The Little Big Show is a combination of the intimacy of the theater, the tech in the theater, the sound, the lighting. It's unbelievable, and the staging, and the raked seats in the theater. And the craziest things, we put that theater in the room the other way and made it a nice small room. But we've got up to the top steps. It was hot because the heat rose. So this year we flipped it the other way, so we have more cubic air all the way around it and solves the problem. So these are the things that, of course, nobody knows, but these are the things we work on.
Right.
And we have an advantage of putting building these things in the same. We go back to the plans from 3 or 4 years ago and look at them and say what worked best, what didn't work best. Also, I'm really forcing myself to analyze. We all analyze when something goes wrong. We all do that. What the hell happened?
Avoid that in the future.
Yeah. But do we analyze when it goes right as much? Oh, hey, that worked. Well, what worked? Why did it work? we oftentimes don't know why it worked.
That is smart. Yeah.
We don't know why it worked. So we'll do a postmortem on the Little Big Show and the Hidden Cabaret, and, well, all of them. But we'll look and say, well, this was very successful. Why? Why did people like it?
In the Steve Valentine, Chris Philpott focus session, which was fantastic, I talked to one guy who went twice back-to-back because there's so much information. One of the things that he was talking about was also figuring out the why that things work. He was talking about one actor who nonchalantly had said, and I'll have a cup of tea, and it brought down the house. It was kind of an impromptu thing. And so people laughed, and so he said, I'm going to do it the next night. A little bit less laughter. The third night, less and less because it seemed more forced. And I think the director said, that's because you're trying to get a laugh rather than treating it as a spontaneous piece. And so you sometimes have to analyze what went right, like you said, and why, and how do you keep that right in the future?
Sure. And also, I built my act back in those days by just working all the time. And I didn't sit down and write it. I would put a bit in, and I just think of something and do it. And if it worked, then I did it the next night and the next show and the next show and everything. And now when you're doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows, thousands of shows, well, that's fine. That's a great evolution. Now you do a magic convention. We have opening night. We did the Hidden Cabaret 3 times.
Right.
That's it. We're done. So you don't have that evolution
of doing it over and over.
Oh, I'm doing it over and over. You just don't have it.
Well, another thing you had to plan around was the Jersey Boys set.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the Hidden Cabaret, it worked perfectly. I felt like I was really in the cabaret and almost watching a play there because the way the chairs were set up and then that 2-tiered thing and the way that Tessa Evison worked on the top over there and the way that Steve would walk up the steps. Anyhow, it was just perfect. I felt like I'm watching cabaret, the magic variation or version of the musical cabaret.
Well,
with a live band and everything.
Yeah. I always want to put a live band in. We don't do it. It might be the first time we put it in a show, actually. But that's a test. See, can we do more live music in the future? Can we build a whole show around live music? Maybe. But for people that don't know, the Jersey Boys, Broadway production of Jersey Boys, had a residency here at the Orleans. And we were promised that they would go dark during our convention and that they would move the set because it's a touring set. They can move it. Well, they didn't put a touring set in. They put in a permanent set. That set will take 6 weeks to take out. I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks. Anyway, everything was changed. It kept changing. So we were promised we could use everything. Well, we couldn't use everything. Jersey Boys wouldn't allow us to use everything. So there was just a number of steps in here. And absolutely no curtains.
Wow.
Every pipe was used or blocked by the set. We had absolutely no curtains. And so, what are you going to do? And so we kept drawing it up and drawing it up and drawing it up different ways and finally landed on we're just going to do a cabaret in the middle of the stage, And so, yeah. So
well, you made some good lemonade out of those lemons. That was really a hit, I think.
Yeah. It was some good people working on it.
Yeah.
And
I also liked the way that, you change different hosts every day. With Master Payne on the second day, Young and Strange were great. Master Payne, I always love his PowerPoint presentations. He's always a hit. And then I love the idea of Taylor Martin coming in, and Taylor Martin, right? It was, or
Taylor Hughes.
Hughes, sorry. That had come in and then introduced the next person and that kind of a thing, and then having a complete revolution, I guess, of that.
Well, it was we nicknamed it the Round Robin, but it was an idea, and it came out of a conversation with Richard Wiseman. And
Love that man.
Richard said, hey, I always thought it'd be fun if somebody introduces someone else, they sit down and they talk, and the first person that asked all the questions, they get up and leave. And now the person that just answered all the questions moves over a seat and introduces the next person, and this just continues. And I said, that's a great idea. That's an idea. I'm going to do that. And Richard said, great, are you going to give me credit? And I said, only if it sucks. I'll give you credit if it sucks. He goes, okay, fine. So if it goes well, nope, I'm taking credit. That's all there is to it. And
so
then,
credit has been given here.
Yeah, credit's been given here.
For both people listening.
Yeah. And then there's so many people around Magic Live that help, and you never hear their names, or you barely ever hear their names. Sure, but I mean, like, you take just this one little thing, that one day.
Okay.
We have Rick Gerber directing all the general sessions, sure. But this day took a lot of production.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very casual, and that's the design of it all, but Lance Rich worked on it for a couple months to who's going to talk to who, what are they going to talk to him about, et cetera, et cetera. But I guess the point is, in all of this, is that Magic Live is really a lot of people. And it's a lot of people, some that work.
How many would you say, like 100 people?
Gosh, I mean...
If you figure the people who are also emceeing the shows and things...
Well, there's about 50, right around 50 plus of performers and presenters. And we don't duplicate people a ton. We've duplicated a few people. They don't come here and do, close-up, lecture, stage show, and, wash your car. So we don't do that a lot. But... but I'd say probably there's another 50 that work behind the scenes, that work on everything. Sure. So it's.
Let me just finish by also going back again to the way that you had the different people introduce each other. And I thought that the topics that the guests were talking about were surprising to me. I mean, like when Morten Christensen was talking just about his problems with socializing with people, and talking to people. He has stage fright, and he talked about that. And I thought that Eric Tate was going to be talking about podcasting or talking about Penguin, and then he's talking about mental health issues. And so everybody kind of took a little different twist, I think, as they talked. That was not what they are necessarily known for,
Sure. And the idea is to make it look so casual, like they're just coming out and talking. But you can end up with everybody talking about the same thing. It's funny, when I first approached people and asked them to do it, they all say, oh, great, I want to talk about creativity. Mm-hmm. The first 3 people I asked wanted to talk about creativity. Well, we can't have all 3 people talking about creativity. Mm-hmm. This is replacing our whole general session. And so then we started to say, okay, what's your second choice? What's your third choice?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Well, it all came together great. It's been a great convention, as I said, as I've been talking to people rather than asking you who's your favorite child. This has been something everyone else has been picking children for you. And basically they are saying you have a great family. And this is a wonderful time I like each year you got a different theme. This year was play. And certainly we did. We played with each other and had fun in the sessioning over in the Mystique Lounge and everywhere else, day and night, all hours of the day, in the bar and the restaurant. But it was tight. I never left the hotel, never went outside at all. Well, first of all, it's 116 degrees, but aside from that, why do we go out? All my friends are here. And, I got to say, there was some guy who was getting off the elevator who was a friend of mine, Bruce Trigg, who I know from 4F from Canada. And when he got off, I was just thinking, I wasn't expecting to see him, but I felt like I've kind of died and gone to heaven because all my friends I have known from different parts of my life in different conventions are all here. All my friends are here, It's amazing. I mean, I turn around and it's just, I love it.
I'm always amazed at the people that come.
Mm-hmm.
That
from all over the world.
From all over the world. You look around and you say, wow, these are people that don't normally pay to go to a Magic convention, but they want to be part of the party, I guess.
Yeah.
Or something. So I'm just...
You're the ringleader.
I can't say... Well, my wife has a new answer now when people say, what does your husband do? And she said, he's the Pied Piper. And they go, what does that mean? He said, I don't know. He plays his flute, and all these people just come around him and are willing to do whatever he wants them to do. And I have no idea if that's true or not, but it is amazing. Like I mentioned on stage, I meet new people. I think what happens is this. I think people look at the way we present things, and we're always trying to present things better and better and better. And professionally as well as we can. We're not happy if there's a line in some mob. We want the line to be organized and find a way to be fair and everything. And so we approach everything. They see that. So when I call them up and say, I have an idea, and they're saying, okay, well, what is it? And oftentimes they're not sure, but they are willing to go along and do it. and try it and do things. And hopefully it gets people out of their box a little bit, you know. Not that they're not good at what they do. They're very good at what they do. But, you know, but you see, I'm in the competition. There's a lot of conventions. You have a lot of places you can spend your dollars. There's no question. Conventions are getting more expensive. And even if registrations we're trying to hold them down, we're not going to be able to. But, you know, hotels are going up, flights are going up, food is going up. It's not cheap to go to a magic convention. And, you know, there's choices out there. So I look at it and say, well, anybody can book talent. You know, you got enough money, you can book talent. What are you going to ask them to do? And then how are you going to make them look? And that's the game. That's the little big, I want you to do this, Christopher Hart, I want you to do this, and I want you to MC the show. This is how I want to use it. This is the idea. Now, how can I make him look good? You know, and that's what I waste a year on, you know.
Wow.
Sort of
this is your one focus of the year.
It pretty much is. I really have always thought we should just change the branding a little. It should have a subtitle. It should be Magic Live, overthought for your enjoyment. But I'm semi-retired.
Walking the tightrope.
I'm semi-retired.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, I can take the time, and I like going into the office every day. I have a little office, and, yeah, I do. I do like it. And just how lucky am I that the magic community has supported my crazy ideas. They supported it for 25 years in the magazine, and they're continuing to support it. And it allows me to do something better. And if we can't do it better, if we can't do it first, I don't mind if it's first and it kind of fails, but I'm not going to do something that somebody's already done unless we can do it better. And that's what's fun for me. Just doing it's not fun. I can go somewhere else and get a job. You know, it's fun to do something better.
That's why magicians don't die. They just disappear.
Yeah, I guess so. But, I mean, we're lucky that way.
Yeah,
you know,
we are.
We get to it, and when look, how many people come here and they have no idea what they're coming to?
Lots.
Every one of them.
Yeah, lots. Everybody.
You know, hey, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
Really, you know. So, thank you, everybody. You know.
And I thank you also for listening to each of these days of reports and everything. It's been a lot of fun, and it's good talking to you, and I'm glad for you to help give me a wrap on this from your perspective. And again, job well done. Time to take a rest. You gonna go to Disneyland now, or what are you gonna do?
Well, I'll crawl on the ball for a couple months, at least.
And before you start working on next year.
It's always funny. I'll go home and I turn the TV on, and Ron will say, "What are you going to watch?" It doesn't matter.
You're going to change your channel.
It just doesn't matter, does it? You know. Well, that's the Olympics. Yeah, from 4 years ago. I don't care. You know.
Exactly. Stan, thanks very much. I appreciate it, Chief. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Stan Allen, Scotty out.